Alrighty, today we're going to do the long overdue video on the 4473 and the kiosk mode. Um, so the first thing is when you set up your store, um, kiosk mode has a default password of kiosk. You really should change it. You do that in the site store info site settings. You scroll down to you scroll down to 4473 kiosk and you change your password. All right. If you serialize your 4473s, you can put the number of the next one in here, and then every 4473 you generate will it'll print that number on it and increment this by one. Um, Electronic signatures, you can either make them optional or never. If you do never, then obviously no one can sign it electronically. It has to be printed out and signed with a pen. Optional, it's pretty self-explanatory. You can do either or. The revision number you don't really need to worry about right now because we're only on one revision. When the ATF comes out with a new revision to the form, typically what they do is they announce it and give you a date of when it's going to happen. And there's a little bit of overlap period there. So when that happens, you'll be able to, and we get the new form and we know what it looks like and we've updated the system. You'll have the option to choose which version you want to use at the point when the old version is officially retired and can't be used anymore. That'll go away, and then you'll only have one option here, which is the new current version. So, but for now, and the same thing with the 3310, but for now, you only have one choice. So put in your new password. I'm going to leave it kiosk for the demonstration, but then you're going to want to change that. So to have a customer fill out a 4473, you have to put your site into kiosk mode. Now, it doesn't affect the general public. This is just for you at the computer that you're using at the time, whether it's your tablet or a computer in your shop or whatever. Two places you can do that from. You can do it from the back end. You go up here and you can go into kiosk mode here, or if you're logged in, you can do it from your storefront. You can go into kiosk mode here. No matter which one you do it from, it's going to log you out. You have to log out of your store and log in to the kiosk mode with the kiosk password. So we'll do that from here. I'll just say kiosk mode. It'll tell you what's going to happen. If you've already got a customer's form in there, say they filled out the form, but they had to leave or whatever, and you never even got around to doing your part, you can say process existing form. You'll come to a screen with a list and you choose it, and then you can fill out your part of the form. But for this example, we're going to pretend that a customer's wanting to buy a gun, and you got to have them fill out their part of the form. All right, so start a new form. So it logs you out and it brings you to the place where you put in the kiosk password. Okay. And then this is where that won't happen to you. This is where the customer takes over. So they fill out the form, and I'm going to pause this and fill this out. Well, it's not going to take that long. So we'll say test. If they don't have a middle name, they have to say I don't have a middle name. User. Okay. And this pretty much follows the 4473. If at any time, they're not sure, they can click on this. This brings you to the instructions that are on the 4473. The ATF's regulation on electronic 4473 stipulates you have to be able to get to this information. But if they click on a specific place, it'll take them straight to it, and that's highlighted in green. Current resident address. That's because they're asking them, they're curious about this. So 1, 2, 3, test street, some city, some county, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, place of birth, height 6 feet, 2 inches, 195 pounds. February, just pick an arbitrary date here. Social security number, male, not white. Click next. If anything on here is invalid, or if they left something blank or whatever, like city, it'll say, hey, place of birth is required, either a city and state or an entry for a foreign country. And it'll bring them here. So click next. Then they get to the questionnaire. Yes. Now, if they fill any of these out in a way that would alert you when it comes time for you to bring it up. So let's just do this real quick. Let's just say yes on that one. Now, that is an alarm right there. So, but it's not going to tell them that. They got to fill it out. Okay. And they sign. Now, if you've got an electronic pad with a pen, you can hook it up and use this. I'm just going to use the mouse. It's hard for me to do that. And they sign it. If they want to start over, they can clear it. They agree to this. Okay. Agree. Now, they're like, okay, I'm done. They told you. You come back. You're like, okay, I need to process this form. I'm going to sign in. I'm going to choose this form. And it says stop. Do not transfer this firearm. The buyer has indicated one or more of the following. And here's why. And it says, as such, you should not transfer any firearms to them. Click the print to print the form. Have them sign it if they haven't already done it. And then tell them you can't complete the transfer. It's marked process and no further action can be taken. It stops you from breaking the law. All right. So now we want to actually process one here. So now we're going to do this again. Yes, no, 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 no. Now this should cause the form to be completed. USA, no, 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 next. Sign. I agree. All right, then it's your turn. Since the other one was processed, it doesn't show up here. These only show active forms. Now, this is where you process your part of filling out the form. in front of the customer. When you actually go do the background check, that's when you log into your administration side on your site. But this is the part where, you fill out your part of it and sign. It all has to be done in kiosk mode. So since everything on their part was good, no, roadblocks, no alerts or whatever, now you get to fill out your end. So this is a handgun. Obviously you've done this on your paper form a bunch, so you know what this stuff is. So let's say, I think it was South Carolina. It'd help if I could spell. Driver's license. 9998877. Expires, we'll say May of 2020. You know what this stuff is. If you're not sure, you can click. You get the instructions. It takes you straight to the instructions. These are copied directly off of the back of the form, verbatim. If no check was necessary for the obvious reasons, you would, check those. Now, here's where it gets neat. And for this example, I've put a handgun into my record book, and I'll get more detail with the A&D book on another video. But for the sake of showing you how it integrates with the 4473, let's say they're buying this gun right here. The serial number is AABBCC112233. It's a fake serial number, obviously, but I need to make it something I can remember. So, first of all, let's say we're doing one that we don't have in our book. All right. I've got one. PPPPP. Okay. No acquisition could be found for this serial number because I don't have one in here for that serial number. Now, if you're not using the electronic logbook, then, just disregard that. You're not using it. Obviously, it's not going to find anything you put in here, so don't worry about it. But if you are using the electronic logbook and you've got the gun on your counter and you're typing in the serial number and it can't find it, that is bells and whistles should be going off in your head because it should be in there. You can't sell a gun that you haven't logged as an acquisition yet. So you should stop right there and find out, why is this not in my book, and get it entered. All right. So that'll help you in this regard. But for this example, we want to use one. So I mean, if you're not using the book, then you enter in all this information. Okay. If you are using the book, hey, look, it found it. This is the gun I'm selling. It's in my book. You click on that and it fills all of this in for you straight off of the acquisition record right here. Okay. Right there. Obviously, if they're buying more than one, you keep going. And then you go down here, blah, blah, blah. Now, one, your name. Okay. You click next. You have to, if you want to review anything, go back, because once you sign it and click agree, you can't change nothing. You have to print it, make the modifications manually, initial it and whatever and all that stuff. So, agree, continue. Now, from here you can print the form if you want. A lot of times what I do is I just use this for having them fill out and sign, having me fill out and sign. I'll print out the form. I'll take the printed form. I'll log into the FBI's website. I'll do the background check, and then I'll fill out the rest of the form manually and date it as today's the date that I gave him the gun, and then I'll file it away. But you can record the FBI's responses electronically as well, so that you have, I mean, you still have to print the form in the end. You have to have a hard copy form stored in your file cabinet. But at what point do you, is that process, do you print it out? So, you can, and you can click on your logo up here at any time to get back. So if you wanted to do another one for another customer, like you're at a gun show or whatever, you can do that. And my test server is dragging butt. So then you log in, back into your store. And then you come over here to 4473s. All right. Now, this will show you pending forms. 99% of the time when you come to this screen, you're only worried about one that you need to process. If you want to see ones that are completed, you go up to the filter and you show completed ones. I don't have any in my test. So, or if you want to show all of them, you do that. Okay. So here is I think this is the one that failed. If you want to view the actual form, you do that drop down. It'll take a few seconds to generate the view. Yeah, this is the one that failed. See? And then there's the signature, all right? But you didn't give him the gun. You weren't, you were told not to do it. And you could always print out the form and fill it out yourself and go ahead and do it if you want to break the law, but that's, so there's the form. So really this should have been marked process, so we'll go ahead and do that. Failed on the form. There. Now it'll show up as the completed, thing. There's a no response marked because we never did the background check. We never even got that far. All right. So we want to work on this pending one that we just filled out. That's this one right here. And we've got the FBI's website pulled up, let's say, and we're going to process their response. You can always make your screen wider by going up here and clicking on that, and that'll make the menu very small. Okay, so we've put our information in at the website, and we got a response. So now let's say if the very first response, and usually this is the case, is proceed. You'll mark proceed. You put in the dates, whatnot, and save it. At that point, you can you go up here and you put in the date that you actually transferred the gun, which would be today. It automatically fills in how many pistols were transferred. You have to, if a 3310 is necessary, it will use this information and other 4473s in the system, comparing the dates and your business hours and all that stuff to alert you to the possibility of a 3310 needing to be filled out. But that might be a future video because that test case scenario is kind of tricky to set up. I'll wait and see how much time is left or how much time this video is taken up, and if it seems reasonable, I can set that up and then come back to it and do it. So let's just say, for example, this was delayed. All right. So, and they always give you a date usually that says, you can transfer the firearm on this date. If you haven't received a response, you have to put something in there. So we'll say the 15th. Yeah, let's say today because I don't know if it'll let me. No, we can do that. We can say 15th. The date the information was transmitted, well, that was today. there was no transaction number because it was delayed, or they may give you a transaction number. It just depends. You know, if you want to ask for their name, you can put it in here, or their number. If you want to put your name here, you can. So we'll save it. This is a delayed response. It says, you know what, you're going to have to wait. And you can't change this once you click save, so make sure it's right. Okay. Now let's say there's our first response, delayed. See that? Now let's say, oh, you know what, we got a call, or we just happen to check, and oh, you know what, it's been approved. So we go back to NCIS, okay, and now the first response has got what we put in for that. Now we've got options for the second response. They said we can proceed, so we put in the date, that's today, and we click save. Oh, yeah, see, it says if the responses proceed, then this is required. So once it says proceed, we're able to put in how many pistols were transferred, because they could have bought 3, but we only transferred, or you could have filled out the form for 3, but they changed their mind and they only wanted 2 of them, so you know, sold them 2 or whatever. You can't go over, I think, what was on the form, but I think you can go under. But in this case, there was only 1 gun on the form, so there's 1, and today is the day we transferred it, and we click. Now, understand, this isn't part of the 4473. This is just used to determine if a 3310 is required for this in future transactions, right? So it's for internal use only and not used on any form, and also cannot be edited, and I got a typo there and I need to fix that. And I fixed it, but I'm not going to refresh. All right, so we've got our number of handguns, pistols, revolvers, and the date we transferred. It's proceed, we got the date, and we save it. Okay. Now, that's been marked as complete because we had to proceed. All right, so there's our test. There's our second response. Now, you know, they can come back later and say, you know what, really, we shouldn't have done that. You know, you can always have that after the fact third response, and you can put that here. Obviously, you've already transferred to Firearms, so, you know, what can you do? But you got to mark the response if you get one, you know, after the transfer, and you can put that there. You can add notes. These are for your internal use only. You can attach files to it, like you can scan their ID. You have to make copies anyway, right? You can scan it and attach it to this electronic 4473, so you've got an electronic backup of that, or any other supporting documents that you might need to attach to the 4473. Basically, if it's something you would staple to the form, when you put it in your filing cabinet, you would scan and upload here. You can see the firearms that were on it. Okay. Now, this is again how you link it to your electronic 4473. So once you've done all the processing and everything, you want to log it in your book. Well, you can come over here and put in the information manually, or you can just click the dispose button, and it says this will mark this entry as disposed, and it uses the information off of the form. You do it. All right. Now here's the logbook, and there it puts in the filter to just find that particular entry. See, so there it is. So here's the logbook before. All right, now I'm going to refresh, and here's the logbook after. There's the gun we used. There's their information. There's that serialized transaction number. Right? Put in the logbook. You can edit this and add this information if you want. You just edit and add the optional information. Okay. And it's there. Now, at this point, you need to print a hard copy. So you would come down here and you would view. This takes a minute because it has to take an image of the entire form and transpose all of their answers in just the right spot and then create an image of it. So here's the form, all right? Here's all of your things that you typed in, okay? We didn't put a transaction number in to the form. If we did, it would have shown up there. Here's our first response. Here's our second response. If there was a third response, it would go here, all right? These informations would be filled in had we put them in the form. We didn't, okay? Here's the information about the gun. All of that stuff. It pre-fills your business name, address, and FFL number for you. Here's your signature and the date that you transferred it. And then by law, you have to print all that crap with it. And then you'd print it out. Now, if it was denied, I mean, it was denied, right? And they were supposed to come back. When they came back, after you've done all that stuff, you need to print this out. By law, they cannot electronically sign here. So here's the thing. In this particular example, you would do all that we just did, and then you would get to this point and you would print it out, and then you would give it to them, and they would have to sign here because they had to come back. It was denied the first time, and then they had to come back. They don't allow, the ATF doesn't allow this, or the FBI, whoever it is, doesn't allow this to be electronically signed. So you would have to print this out. They would have to sign it with pen, put in the date. You have to check their ID again and all that stuff. And then to get this back into your system electronically, you'd have to scan this to a PDF and upload it as an attachment. I mean, that's the only way. If everything went smoothly the first time, there was no delay, it was proceed from the get-go, then you wouldn't have to print out anything and have them sign anything. But that's the nature of the law. Also, if they're impaired or they can't write or read or whatever, and you have to have the two witnesses sign, that cannot be done electronically. So if you're in that situation, they wouldn't sign the form. They would just say done. You'd get to your part, you'd fill it out, you'd sign it electronically if you want to, then you'd have to print it out, hand it to them, let all three of them do their thing, and then do the background check, and then, from there you'd still have to scan your document and attach it to the 4473 as an attachment if you want to keep an electronic copy of the final document. If everything goes smoothly and they don't need witnesses and there was a proceed and everything was signed electronically, then the printed document is the same as the saved document, and you wouldn't have to scan it and reattach it unless you just wanted a second backup of it. All right, so if you've got a color printer, it'll print in blue ink. If you just have black and white, it'll print in black and white. I like the blue because it stands out. You can see the answers more clearly, like that. So I think that pretty much covers everything on the 4473. If I can figure out a good way to show an example of the 3310, I will. Let me play with that. I'm gonna pause this. I'm gonna play with that and come back. Okay, I'm back. So what I did is I just went ahead and quickly did another 4473 for using the same social security number. It'll check social security numbers. That's the obvious giveaway that it's the same person. Outside of social security number, it might check name and address. It tries to determine if it could possibly be the same person if they've purchased multiple handguns within a 5 business day period. If they have, when you come to your transaction list, notice I have to do the complete list because it'll only check if it's, if you've said you've transferred handguns to the person. It'll show an alert right here, this little button, okay? And notice that it's both the same person. They different addresses, but I use the same social security number. That's the last four of the social right here. So if you click that, it tells you that, you know, Social Security was matched to these two 4473s. Okay. You can view them. What it does is it shows you the forms that it used to make the determination that you may need to fill out a 3310 for this person. Typically, you'll have other customers in between here because, you know, it was sold to them 3 days later. You've got other customers in between, but since this is a test, I don't have any transactions in between the two, so they're kind of right on top of each other. So it's kind of hard to make sense of this, but you know, the form that's in yellow is the one that you've clicked on, and it's always included in the process. And you view them. You know, I viewed that one, and I viewed the one that it says is probably a match. You know, you view the information, you do your due diligence, you say, okay, yes, this is the same person, so I need to include this form along with it. I mean, if they bought 3 handguns at one time, it's a no-brainer. That form will be included. But if they've bought others within a 5-day period, those guns have to be included on the 3310 as well. So you include all forms that that need to be. If they just bought rifles on this one, you wouldn't include it, you know. But since they bought handgun, you include it, okay? Then it says include selected 4473s for this 3310. And you click that button, and it brings you to the 3310 form, okay? And it says, are any of these connected to another multiple sale? Well, yes. And you got to put the date that the sale took place, okay? Put the address of the gun show. Here's the gun information from the combined of the two 4473s that we chose, all right? That's why you have to choose the 4473s that you want to use in this report. Here's the person's name, and on the particular form in question, they didn't use a middle name, so you have to do NMN, no middle name. Their address, you can update this if you need to, but I wouldn't unless it's absolutely positively had to be. Here's the information that they selected. This is the green form, the form that you clicked on to investigate. That's where this information comes from. Okay, so you have to determine which form is the one that has the correct info, or the one that you want to use the info on the 3310. You can change it if you need to. There's their social security number, or I'm sorry, their driver's license number, the type of ID they had, the date of birth, all of that stuff. If they acted on behalf of a corporation, you have to put that in there. That information isn't typically put on the 4473, so I guess you'd have to call them or ask them, you know, if that was the case. Any information you want to put on here, you know, you put in your name, and today's date, the date that you're filling it out. Save and create. Oh, I missed something. What'd I miss? Oh, it doesn't ask you that on the 4473 either. It's not a field for you to put it in there. So I don't understand why they ask you this on the 3310. You better, in the type, you better put the state name. I didn't, and I should have. I was just in a hurry. But this is why you should. You need, I think it was, I don't know. I think it was South Carolina. Doesn't matter. We're just testing. Save and create. Oh, what I missed now? Oh yeah, you gotta send a copy of this to your local authorities. Crazy. You gotta send it. Usually it's your sheriff. Now, save it, create. Now, it's been saved. It'll pop up in a new window for you to print. Here's your 3310 that you need to print and save. All right. I don't think you have to sign it anywhere. There's no electronic signature, so you don't have to sign it. It does have to be filled out, and you do have to send it to them and send it to your local law enforcement official, which they probably just take it, look at it, throw it away anyway. But that's what you got to do. If you want to print it right now, you can click the print button. If you want to review it, you can come back to, I think, any one of the 4473s that was used in it. This will show up now, and the little parentheses is how many guns were on the form. So this 4473 had 2 guns. This one had 1. Combined, there were 3 handguns. That's a multiple sale in a 5-day period. And the 3310 has 3 guns on it. And this one here and this one here, I mean, they're the exact same form. They're the same form. That one 3310 was derived from these two 4473s. All right, I hope I haven't left anything out. It's not that complicated. I think it will help people spot these 3310s if you use the forums and use them properly. It could be a big help. I know I can't remember who bought what in the last 5 days. I mean, I don't do that much business right now, but so yeah, so that's that. If you have any questions, let me know. I'm going to get this video reviewed and put on YouTube. All right, thank you.